Welcome to See You on the Other Side, where the world of the mysterious collides with the world of entertainment. A discussion of art, music, movies, spirituality, the weird, and self-discovery. And now, your hosts, musicians and entertainers who have their own weakness for the weird, Mike and Wendy from the band Sunspot.
Welcome, everybody. We are live on location.
Live on location from Tennessee, South Pittsburg, Tennessee.
We've been driving all day to get here.
We have been. We left at 6 o'clock in the morning, and it was a blizzard in Madison. So we were so excited to get down to Tennessee, where it's still 40 degrees, but that's okay, because they have some of that southern hospitality and southern comfort that we love so much.
Yes, and we're here at
Old South Pittsburg Hospital,
where we met our friend Stacy at Haunted America last year.
Yes, that's right. The Haunted America Convention's in Alton, Illinois.
Yes.
And it's a lot of fun. Troy Taylor runs it. You've probably read one of his ghost books because he's got like 9,000 ghost books.
Got a bunch.
Yeah. And welcome to the show, Stacy.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you for being here and for inviting us to come here. And, it was
you're
fun
welcome.
at Haunted America because we were neighbors. Our tables were right next to each other. So we got to know you and hear all about this fantastic place that you have.
You said we have to come, and then
did,
here
and
you
here we
are.
Right, we are.
We have to see this place. Here you are.
Well, Stacey, we got to start with a little introduction to it. So you, like when you talk about your description of what you do and stuff, you're like, well, I'm not a real ghost hunter.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you manage a place full of ghosts. It says Ghost Hunts right in the name.
It
So
does.
if you're not a ghost hunter, how'd you get involved with all this freaky business?
I got involved with this crazy business from my father-in-law, who still owns, ex-father-in-law, I should say, who actually still owns the building at the moment. He had another management team in here that left in the middle of the night in November of 2013. It was around the 11th or 12th. Well, anyway, so it sat for a few days, and they taped the calendar for the 2014 season to their back door. And he hands it to me, and I'm like, well, what do you want me to do with it? And he said, well, I don't know what to do with it. Can you run it? And I said, well, I suppose I can. He said, well, you can manage a Cracker Barrel. I said, Cracker Barrel, food, ghost, whatever.
Right, same thing.
We'll do this. So I took it over on Thanksgiving Day of 2013 and just ran with it. I just ran with it.
Wow.
Well, that's awesome. Now, are you originally from South Pittsburgh?
I am not from South Pittsburgh, but I am from Chattanooga, which is about 40 miles east of here.
Okay.
So-
Now, okay, and a little bit about South Pittsburgh. So, what do we know about the town of South? Like, why is it called South Pittsburgh? Like, North Pittsburgh is way north.
That's where it came from, because this was supposed to be the steel mill of the South. That's what this was built up to be when the railroad came in. And it ended up being a mining town, and then that kind of went away, and then the railroad stopped stopping here, so it just kind of became a place to settle. But it's been Indian land, it was Cherokee land, it was Civil War land, it's been plantation land. The Trail of Tears actually walked this land. There's a marker about a mile down the road from here that talks about it. So then you have the river, about a half a mile maybe. So it was a very, very fertile place to live and to have kids and raise family.
And the Battle of Shiloh happened around here.
No, I don't think that's close here. That was on the old website, but we took that down. So there's a lot of misinformation out there.
Okay.
So we've tried to correct that as much as possible.
Okay, but that's good to know, because
Yes.
I was all like, oh yeah, the Battle of Shiloh
I don't
happened
think Shiloh's here.
like at the hospital, like the doctor. It was doctor versus doctor, brother versus brother. It really tore the country apart.
Yeah.
Well, to set the scene for people, as we drove in, it was really beautiful, mountainous, nice rolling hills, and then the river. And it does look a lot like Pittsburgh with the bridge and everything.
A little bit, yeah.
Do you guys have a team called the South Steelers?
No, we don't. They are called the Pirates.
I had to ask. All right.
But
Pirates.
but if they were the South Steelers, they would also be beaten in the Super Bowl by the Packers.
Oh, had to bring it in.
Doesn't matter what the name is.
Just had to slide that in there, didn't you?
Absolutely.
But it is a beautiful place, and it's
Thank you.
very,
Yeah.
very peaceful town.
It is a
and-
very peaceful town. It's a very quaint town, and a lot of the founding families, their descendants are still here.
Wow.
So, and if you drive through actual downtown and see all the old buildings, it reminds you of a Wild West town. At least it does to me.
Yeah,
You
that's
know.
cool. And to have that history that's continued for so many years is really
Oh, yeah.
unique.
I saw a couple of guys duking it out right on Main Street. The showdown, it really was something else.
Only in the South.
But okay, so the old South Pittsburgh Hospital. Let's talk a little bit about the building we're in, because
Okay.
this is great. And the thing is, you guys will see what the hospital looks like in the video and stuff. And if you're just listening to this, you're going to see some great footage that our buddy Scott got of the hospital. And the thing is, when you drive up to it, you're sitting there going, yeah, I can see people getting killed here. And
Yeah, it no longer makes you think of a place to go for healing.
Yeah,
It's
true.
more of a, place you want to turn around and go running out
run from.
I mean, the hotel restaurant here does not get a 5-star Michelin rating. But what do the ghosts think about it? So where did this building come from? What year was it built? Like, how old is it? What's a little history of the hospital itself?
The hospital itself opened in 1959, and it was built, a few years previous to that before they actually opened it. We also think we found paperwork now of a clinic that was here back in the 30s. So we think the actual clinic over there was probably one of the original buildings, and then they just built the rest of the hospital onto that. But I don't have actual proof of that, but that's just kind of the pieces that we've put together. And it was open from 1959 until 1998, and that's when my father-in-law started the process to buy the building, and he was actually handed the keys in 2000.
So was he a doctor here?
He was recruited by one of the founding doctors, Dr. Havern, the one who they say is so sinister and was very mean to his patients. And I did ask Dr. Hayes about him one night, and I said, tell me what you know about him. And I said, are all the stories I've heard about him true? And the only thing he would tell me was he did whatever he wanted to do, and nobody questioned him, and he wouldn't tell me anything else. So read between the lines.
Okay, well, let's get into that. Because I was going to make a joke about your father-in-law. You're like, oh, yeah, was he like a mad scientist, or what kind of doctor was he?
He was a pediatrician, actually.
Okay.
And he was here until he built his office in Jasper, and I worked in it until it's been closed almost 2 years. He had a stroke and could no longer work, and our other doctor passed away, so we had to close it.
I see.
So I have 8,000 pediatric charts hidden in this hospital.
And we're finding them tonight.
Good luck with that.
Okay, but the thing is, now Dr. Havern, you just said all the things they say about Dr. Havern true. Well, Stacy, what are the things they say about Dr. Havern?
Well, they say he was very sinister, that he performed a lot of experiments on his patients. One of his wife was mysteriously killed. One of his mistresses mysteriously disappeared.
Oh, man.
So there was lots of things. He was known to do procedures on his patients and may or may not put them to sleep. That's the stories that we hear.
So he was the unnecessary surgery kind of
Yeah,
doctor.
pretty much. Yeah, and
That's how my dentist used to be.
yeah, but it was squelched. The investigation about him and his wife was squelched here in town. But if you get on newspapers.com, where you have to pay for that subscription.
Oh, yeah.
You can find it and find the stories in other areas around town, as far as Kingsport, because it's in the Kingsport newspaper, and we've got some stuff out of that. And added it to our history tour. So we have a lot of history here.
That's great. And we love newspapers.com. So we're going to have to check that
There
out.
you go.
Like I'm on there all the time. So when did people start thinking that this place was haunted, that something was going on? So what happened? So your father-in-law buys it.
He buys it.
And why? What makes him want to buy his old workplace?
He
Was
was
like I want to own
thought
this
about
place.
doing assisted living here, but the whole reason they built a new hospital anyway was because this one was so under code. From the ground up, I think they spent $64 million building the new one, and it was going to cost hundreds of millions to revamp this one. So then they had to have a hospital here. So they opted to close this one and build a new one. However, this is going to get me in trouble when I say this, but Obamacare got the new one closed in April of 2015. We have no hospital in this county.
Uh-oh. Well, that sucks for us tonight. Here at the Hilltop
So,
Pittsburgh Hospital. Unless the ghost of Dr. Haver wants to perform some surgery. on
we
us.
don't. We have very limited x-ray, blood work. If you get hurt, major or need to be transferred, they're either going to fly you to Chattanooga or they're going to ambulance you to Chattanooga. That's the only health care we have here, except for doctor's offices that are open during the day. But, anything at night, you're on your own.
Okay, well, that's good to know.
That's extra scary.
That's why we have a first aid kit in the van.
We have one down the hall, too, so don't do too much damage.
So he's interested, but then he buys it, and then assisted living's not going to work out. It's not going to get back up to code. So when's the first time people start having experiences
It was
here?
it was right after he bought it because, remember, I ended up marrying his son in 2001. Well, so I'm working with him during this whole process of him buying it. I'm here. So we're here working, and I know one day we were up on the third floor. There was myself, there was Evan, the one I was married to, and his friend Michael and his little brother Blake. And I think Doc was here that day. So we're all up on the third floor by the nursery, and it's a beautiful day outside. He just had the roof redone, so we didn't have any leaks or anything at that time. And all of a sudden we notice this puddle of water over there. And we go to look, and leading away from the water was little baby footprints like a toddler. Yes. And they go around the corner and just disappear. Completely disappear. I've seen that twice. since I've been here.
I have the goosebumps now already. Oh.
And then the nursery blinds, they're not up anymore, but they would it was like somebody would take their finger and, and play them, just weird stuff like that. Doors would open and close on the third floor. So it's just different things. We actually raised and bred Siberian Huskies, and back in the back, where it's all grown up, we had their pens. So, we put them back there to breed, but our male would never go down one of the hallways. You couldn't drag him, you couldn't pick him up, you couldn't carry him. He would and Huskies talk, so he would just sit there and howl at us, but he would not cross that threshold. He never did.
I had an ex-girlfriend whose family used to raise Siberian Huskies, and so they can be mean dogs.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, especially when you make that girlfriend mad.
And had you ever had any kind of paranormal experiences prior to the ones that you had here, or is it something that you...
No, I'll tell you.
You're not a psychic or something. You're
No,
gonna be like,
no.
I've been seeing dead people before.
No. But my very, very first experience was several years ago. It was in Chickamauga, Georgia, in the Chickamauga battlefield. I was, believe it or not, driving home from church. So I'm headed back towards the town, and we're almost to where the tower is. It's just a huge open field, and the tower's out there. And there's another car coming this way. Well, we both just have to stop because out of the right side of the road floats a whole band of Union soldiers. I mean, just floated across the road.
That's the
I'm
coolest
like,
thing.
Yeah, that was my very first paranormal experience ever. And I'm
That's
like,
a
I
big
did
one.
not just see that. I did not just see that. I'm like, oh, yes, you did.
Like some people see a shadow out of the corner.
Oh, no,
of their
this was a
eye.
whole band. So why at that point in time, I'd never seen anything before. So I don't know why I was allowed to see that. I couldn't tell you. Anyway, it's broke me in slowly. I can tell you that.
That's incredible. Mm-hmm. What an introduction to this kind of strange world.
Oh, it's
right?
strange, all right.
Well, let's talk a little bit about, so those kind of things started. When did this place started getting open to ghost hunts? Like when did it become a place that ghost hunters wanted to come to?
Some of Doc's patients had a group, and it was like 2003, 2004. It's just when the shows were beginning to get real popular. And they asked if they could come in here and just hunt it. Well, sure enough, stuff was going on.
And so
actually,
Doc was a pediatrician, right?
Yes.
He wasn't a psychiatrist.
No.
Okay, just making sure.
No,
Like
he was
some of
a
Doc's
pediatrician.
patients had a group.
Nice.
So,
And so, things are going on in here. And they decided to stay. Two of them decided to move in here and stay. So they lived here 10 years and they had a child in here. And I raised him
It's
in
convenient, too, because we saw the bed with the stirrups. So if you're going to have a kid in here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a place because the baby comes right out.
I won't deliver no babies now. That's a messy, messy experience.
Ooh.
Yeah. A bloody experience too. But you know what? That's what attracts this stuff, I do believe, is blood. Blood attracts a lot of things.
Okay, well,
So-
Wendy, if you want to cut your hand later on, we'll walk around to see what happens. You can use
Yeah,
this
that
kind of
sounds
a
great.
But no,
spirit magnet.
back to the thing. They moved in here and stayed, and they just decided to start doing ghost hunts, and they built it up over the years, and then then they just left, and like I said, in the middle of the night, and then I took it over, and I catch hell from everybody who had paid for 2014. I'm like, look, you can still come. I just need to see your receipt. But it was Tim Nealon from Ghost City Tours who actually helped me keep this place open that first year, and he is still very much in the background. He just not out front with me anymore, but he maintains my website and he built my Facebook page.
Oh, that's
and,
fantastic.
Yeah. And he has a booking company that we're probably going to go to. He just finished.
Cool.
So,
I've only heard good things about Ghost City.
oh, Tim Nealon would go. He's amazing. That man is amazing, and he really helped me because without him, I wouldn't be here. My very first night on the third floor of ever being on a ghost hunt, I had my head slammed in the wall. I had to be treated for a whiplash. Felt like somebody hit me in the head with a ball bat.
Oh, my God.
And I almost closed it that night.
terrible.
And that was
Well,
in
yeah.
December of 2013. That was like 2 weeks after I took it over. No, it was a week after I took it over, actually. That almost done me
And you
in.
still came back after such
Well,
a traumatizing experience. That's You're
I'm
brave,
one of
woman.
these that I cannot be defeated and I will not quit. It's just
Right.
not going to happen.
Well, and you're still standing too.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, 5 years later, you're like, hey, the business is better than ever. There's more people coming from all over the world.
Well, it goes back to hospitality. It goes back to how you treat your people. And that's in anything. If something's wrong, you fix it.
Yeah.
You're not going to please everybody. It's a numbers game. You're going to get that one eventually that nothing you do is going to make them happy. But, you just take the bump in the road and go on. It's all you can do.
Well, I got to say, you've definitely had a lot of different groups come through here. The first thing I noticed when we came in the door, and there was a little bit of light out still. It was kind of twilight when we entered, a nice spooky time to enter. But the first thing I noticed was a lot of the walls are signed by different paranormal groups. It's almost like a yearbook.
It is. It is.
And we're around this paranormal world all the time, and I still had no idea there were even that many groups out there that I've seen on the walls.
Yeah, this
here.
goes back to to 2003, I think, when it all started. But where you came in at, the Wraith Chasers have their original autographs out there before they ever had a show. they were coming here
That's
before
cool.
they were ever picked up by anybody. They did Paranormal Challenge here and won that.
And
Zach Bagans,
right? Yeah, Zach Bagans autograph right there.
yeah, he's right there on that door
You
too.
can almost see him flexing as
Yeah.
he's signing that.
I
He's
know.
like, yeah.
So, and there's just so many.
Yeah, I'm astounded by how many have been here. And
But they keep returning. Like I had a group here. It was last night? I believe it was last night. Yeah, it was. And she called this morning and she said, "Hey, we had such a good time. We're going to go home and regroup." And she said, "We'll be back in the next 6 to 8 weeks." So that's the turnaround with this here. I mean, they leave and come straight back.
well, if there are as many experiences here as I've already heard about, I can see why they come back because that's not a typical thing. Oftentimes when you're doing ghost hunting, you don't get anything.
Yeah,
So
like I'd say like 90% of the time, like it's like, oh, you
Yeah.
hear that? You get an EVP? It's like, no,
Maybe that was my
We just-
stomach
we just went
growling.
to Taco Bell.
Yeah, claim it or blame it.
So Stacy, so you said your first ghost on the third floor, you get your head knocked. What's some of the other stuff? Like, has there been anything in particular that? I mean, you spent a lot of time here. Has there been anything after any kind of experience where you were like, you know what? I'm going to go home for a while, or I'm going to take
Yes.
off for a little bit.
Yes, and this building will suck you in if you let it. It will own you if you let it. And I'm even having people call back now, and even some of my volunteers are saying, "Hey, I'm having dreams about this building, and it's calling my name." And some of them don't know what the other ones are dreaming. And I had a group I think they were from Virginia, and the lead investigator called me back and he said, "I cannot get this building out of my mind." He said, "I have to come back. I feel like it's calling me." And I get those calls all the time. So be careful. You have been warned.
yeah,
That's all right. No, I think we're gonna play a couple of songs here in a little bit and shoot some video footage. I think once they hear our music, I don't think the hospital's going to be calling us back.
You don't think so?
I mean, I think it's good, but
You never know.
just based on prior experience.
But I mean, there's a whole gamut of experiences here. The elevators have no power to them, but sometimes, we'll hear them ding. We heard them the other night, did we not? It was like somebody was going to get off the elevators. I'm telling you, it's freaky crazy in here. We have had conversations down that hallway. In fact, one of my other volunteers, his name is Josh, and he was also a police officer here in town, and he would, if I couldn't get here, he would start the tour for me. And I had come in and I was doing my stuff and I could hear a male talking down this hallway. So I go down the hallway only to realize that there is nobody there. And I come back to the nurse's station and I'm like, "Josh, where are you? Where are you at?" And he said, "I'm downstairs." And I said, "Were you just up here in this hallway?" And I said, "Were you and another guy talking?" And he laughed. He said, "No, I'm the only male in the group. This is an all female group."
Oh, wow.
He said, "Ain't nobody up there talking." I said, "Oh, there's somebody up here, but I can't see him." I said, "I'll be down there with you in just a minute." So I went and found him.
Is there anything in particular, like any spirits that you have names for, or anything that you feel
We
like?
do. We have several that have names. We have one named Nellie that she really was a patient here. I had one of the former maintenance guys come and give me a tour of what everything was so I would have the right information. And he worked here from 1981 until he handed Doc the keys when he actually took over. So he knows this building really well. In fact, I saw him in Walmart the other night and I said, "Hey, where's the water cutoff? Because I can't find it." And he had to tell me. Yeah, he did. He told me there. But, it's just, you get all this stuff going. And, I lost my train of thought.
no, it's
It doesn't jump the tracks.
No, but I was saying like spirits down there. So
Yeah,
Nellie. So
we have
what's,
Nellie.
What's
She was
Nellie's?
a patient here. She didn't have any family. She actually died here. This was her home. Basically, she did pass away on the second floor, but he couldn't remember what number. But however, she ended up getting moved to 305 on the third floor. So I don't know who moved her. Probably whoever was here before. But that tends to be her hangout. Sometimes she's not a nice lady. And, she supposedly has a roommate in there, but, don't know a whole lot about that. Then we supposedly have another one named Mary down here in the geriatric hallway. And, sometimes she can be nice and sometimes she's not. We know she likes one of our volunteers because apparently she goes home with him.
Oh,
Hey.
So, listen, this place is just nuts. It's insane. And then we have one, his name is James. He was the first maintenance man here. He was of Cajun descent. He was from Louisiana, but he was the first black man to work here. So, and he smoked a pipe and a cigar, and they both were like a vanilla cherry type scent. So a lot of times we'll smell that flavor of smoke. And he drank chicory coffee too. So, and whistling. He
That's
whistled
very
all the
Louisiana.
time.
That Sugar Coffee is a very
Yeah,
Louisiana
yeah.
thing.
And he whistled all the time. And sometimes we'll hear whistling around here. And only there's nobody here.
Now, a patient like Nellie, how did you get that name? Was that something like...
That was her name.
But did somebody tell you that originally, or was it discovered with a Ouija board?
No,
or,
I actually asked the one who worked here.
Mm-hmm.
I said, tell me if these stories are true. And he said, yes, Nellie was a real patient here. He said, and he didn't give me her last name, but he said she was a patient here and she did pass away on the second floor, just down the hall from the nurse's station. But he said, I couldn't tell you which room, but I know it was this floor. There was also a nurse that passed away in the bathroom behind the nurse's station. She had a heart attack in there. And,
that's where a lot of people die in the bathroom. That's where the king died.
Yeah.
Man.
So when
sad.
when they went to get her out, they couldn't because she had locked the door in there. So they had to take the door off the hinges and they drug her in here, but she was already gone. And
So the room we're sitting in right now.
this was ICU.
Oh, so this is the intensive care
Mm-hmm.
unit. Okay, so I mean,
Very dramatic place for a hospital.
yeah,
Very small too. I mean,
Yeah, I'll say.
you look at them now in modern hospitals, and you're like, they save people in here, I mean,
Yeah.
but it was it served its purpose. This hospital was never built for trauma. It was never built for anything major. It was just built for hometown stuff, appendectomies, gallbladder removal, colonoscopies, birthing babies, Everybody had babies here for a long time. And it was, so it's from the womb to the tomb, basically, is what this hospital was built for.
so there's some spirits with some names here. We got the geriatric Mary. We've got Nellie. We've got what'd you say was the pipe guy?
His name is James.
James, the pipe guy from Louisiana, drinking the chicory coffee. And are there certain ghosts associated with certain areas? So you said Nellie's like in room 305. Mary's in the geriatric unit.
Oh, they're associated with everything around here. But yeah, we have this 7-foot shadow man too. I attribute it to looking like if you've ever watched the show Bigfoot. To me, that's what this thing looks like because it's big, it's bulky, and it's usually is up on the third floor between the OR and the doorway, the last OR with all the beds in it. If y'all haven't seen that yet, you will.
Yeah.
But anyway, so he stays.
Look for the ghost of Bigfoot,
So
everybody.
he stands there. But Doogie was with me with the Wraith Chasers when the first time I ever saw it. They were here doing a Facebook Live, and I had to go to the bathroom. So he's walking me with a flashlight back to the stairwell to come down, and out of the corner of my eye, I just froze, and I said, did you see that? He said, yeah, it ain't my first rodeo, but I mean, it took one step and was completely across that hallway. So is it the ghost of Bigfoot? Don't know, but I know he's here, and we call him Shadow Man. We actually have a barbecue sauce named after him, too.
Oh, Shadow Man barbecue sauce. So you can have a look. Have
Look,
some Shadow
we
Man
think
dips.
outside the box around here.
I love it.
Outside the pine box.
Oh, that was good.
Hey, you can use that on a T-shirt. Hey.
Yeah.
No, so all these areas have different ghosts associated with them. Now, do you think we talking about Dr. Haver, and you said he might have been a fairly Haver. I think of the I Would Walk 500 Miles song. It's like,
Haver and back
I'll
to
be
you.
havering to you, Dr. Haver. Please do
stuck
not
on-
experiment me, Dr. Haver.
The Irish episode is still.
Yeah, it's still with me, sorry. Don't force me Lucky
Yeah,
Charms.
you do it really well.
So, okay. Anyway, let's not make fun of Dr. Haver. Has anybody seen him here?
We've not seen him, but we do believe we have felt him. And I had a volunteer here. Well, we had a volunteer hunt one night here. And this particular volunteer passed away on his birthday, on his 46th birthday. It was the night before our first Wraith Chaser event. And his mom had a heart attack on Tuesday, and he was getting ready to go see her. So he's home from work, gets out of the shower, and just kills over. But he was one of my best volunteers. If I needed anything, he did it. I could call him and I'd say, I need this. I'll be there. And he was. And his name was Mark. But what happened was he had his ovulus sitting out here on the nurse's station, and it was facing the elevators. And the door behind the nurse's station where the old drug room used to be had gotten closed, and we always left it open. So I'm like, okay, who closed the door? And they're like, nobody. We've all been together all night. So I get up to go open the door, and I get my hand on the doorknob, and this ovulus starts saying bloody, bludgeoned, murder, his wife's name, a month, a year. And it went on for probably...
Not even subtle. These
no,
are like,
this was just bam, 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 bam. It just started spitting stuff out. It's like, time for me to go home. Yeah. And, but that actually happened, and then it was just a few weeks later that he passed away. And I think he's kind of been here too, because we did a birthday party, and his favorite colors is green and black. The same that's down here on that wall with the wreath. Well, that was his room, so that's why that wreath is on that door. And so we had a birthday party here one night, and these kids were here. Well, they're 18, 19 years old, but I still call them kids. And
They're
she
kids to us
said,
too, so.
yeah, she said, well, we think we were followed last night, but she said it was more of a protective follow than anything. And she said, we get the name Mark and birthday. Does that mean anything to you? And I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
You have no idea. Sit down, let me tell you the story. So I did.
cool.
Yeah. So you just never know. I don't tell everything that happens here for that reason, because I want people to come back and verify stuff with me.
Sure, it's better to get that kind of verification. Like when somebody says, like, I felt something, instead of saying, like, well, did you feel the hand grab you? So you say, like, what did you feel? And I said, well, I felt this dude named Mark, like, slap me, high five. All right, well, that's the guy.
Yeah.
You know?
But he did. He said, Mark and birthday. And it was right around his actual birthday that they were here. So,
That's really cool.
yeah, I mean, you get all kinds of stuff around here. You really
That
do.
is cool.
So you were saying before we were talking that people sometimes think that this is still a real hospital?
Oh, yeah. Gosh, you should hear some of the phone calls
Are
I
they
get.
using the yellow pages from the 90s?
Yeah,
Like,
I don't know what they're
no,
doing,
just-
but they're like, I need to talk to the lab. I need lab x-rays. I need medical records shipped. Can you tell me if you have this patient listed in your hospital? I'm like, look, my patients are not living. My patients are dead. I can't see my patients,
I'm running out of patience.
Yeah, true. And then I had this one phone call. This lady was just adamant. She was mad, and she said, I want to talk to somebody in labor and delivery. I said, there's nobody in labor and delivery. We don't deliver anything. We're not delivering babies. And she said, I know you are. My friend's up there having a baby right now. And I said, lady, the only thing we're delivering in this hospital is demons, and there ain't nobody having a baby. So she didn't take kindly to that.
I was going to
but-
say that would be an interesting reaction, I'm sure.
and I've had, nursing homes call and say, we need their medical records. And I'm like, well, we don't have them, or can I ship them up there to you? Do you have any open rooms? No, we don't.
Yeah, we have open rooms. They're not.
have no
maybe
staff.
The most
They're-
comfortable.
They're very open.
Yeah, can I talk to your ER doc? No, you can't do that
I
either.
mean, the nursing home sends people here to cut out the middleman, right?
Oh,
That's pretty
terrible.
bad. So, we just get all kinds of stuff, crazy stuff that happens here.
Now, what would you say the farthest group that has come to visit out has been?
London.
Wow, overseas.
That's pretty exciting.
And from the 48, it's been Alaska and Oregon.
Oh.
So we're popular everywhere.
So our 11-hour drive is nothing.
Right, we left at 6 o'clock in the morning.
I've had them
Madison,
from, Brazil, Belize. We've had them from Canada come in. And I have
You
this,
guys let Canadians in
Yeah,
here?
we let them Canadian.
Oh,
Hey,
God.
their money spends too. Yeah, they come in here. They love it. A lot of people just love it. And we have people that will come in and they're skeptics, and they'll have an experience, and they can't wait to come back.
That's cool. I'm hoping that we'll have an experience tonight, even though I just don't want it to be too scary. Is that too much to ask?
I don't want my head to feel like it's been hit by a baseball bat.
No. We need our heads.
Right, we need we
Yeah,
gotta
you
keep
need
our
your
heads in the game.
I've
if you
had
have an
people get sick, just feel like something is just making them sick, feel like they're being choked. In fact, that just happened, didn't it? Just what was it, Friday night? Saturday night? It was Friday night.
Young boy, he won't come back.
Yeah, he won't come back. It really worked on him. I mean, he was all about this stuff, but he had an element of fear. And I tell everybody, if you come in here, and I had to overcome this. This is why I had so many experiences.
I know what she's gonna say it. I'm
Yeah.
afraid now.
You have to overcome your fear. And it took me a couple of years to get completely over it, because I was having stuff happen to me all the time, but they were feeding off my fear. So now I'm just like, shut up, or I'm going to send you back to hell where you came from. I don't care.
Get out.
I love it.
And you can't go home with
assassin.
me. You're not allowed at my house. I don't watch the shows at my house. I don't have it in my house at all. But I'm here enough,
Yeah,
I-
you get enough
you
of it
spend
here.
enough time. Like, why? You don't have to bring your work home.
No, and it's not going to follow me
Right?
either. So, but I have had people call me back and say, hey, how do I send this thing back? And I'm like, well, what did you say to make it leave? I have no idea.
Right. Oh,
Send it back.
and so we said the Paranormal Challenge has been here. The Tennessee
Wraith Chasers.
Wraith Chasers have
Ghost
been here.
Asylum show's been here. Paranormal Witness was here.
Oh.
It was on Ghost Lab, And I love radio. I love this kind of stuff. I'm not a fan of TV cameras at all. I just mess up all the way around them. But I can do this all day long.
All right, good.
That's great because I think we might have to come back and talk some more
Yes,
at a future time.
absolutely. After we have our own experiences here. But Stacy, we're going to keep the conversation going with some of your friends that have some paranormal experiences.
Oh, they
of
have
their
some
own.
experiences. Yes,
And
they do.
We're going to talk about them. We got to thank you. Now, people that want to come visit, the Old South Pittsburg Hospital and go on a ghost hunt here, where's the best place they can find the information?
The best place to find information is probably going to be on our Facebook page, and just type in Old South Pittsburg Hospital. And also my personal phone number is on there. It's behind us on the wall if you want to get a shot of it. But it's
423-362-0089
Yeah.
for a good time call.
yeah, it'll be a
For
good
a
time. All
scary
right.
time.
Yeah, and you can also message me on the Facebook page. I answer those. I answer all the phone calls myself. I don't have anybody else doing it. So sometimes people people actually like that. And I guess,
You're the face of the place.
Apparently so, yes. And the night Chad Lindbergh was here, it was real funny. I'll tell you the story and then I'll quit. But I was sitting back here at the table, I had all my merchandise out here, and all of a sudden, this going, she's here. And I'm like, who's here now? I had no idea they were talking about me. So this guy comes over here and he says, are you Stacy? And I said, yes. And I said, why? And he said, my wife watches you all the time on YouTube. And he said, she is stuck on Paranormal Witness. She loves the way you tell your stories. And he said, can she come over here and meet you? And I said, meet me? I said, tell her to pull up a chair. I'm just going to stay here for a while. So I ended up being friends with her after that. We talked for a long time. Yeah, but it was really weird when she asked me for my autograph. I'm like, now, wait a minute. We're not that popular yet. And it was just kind of threw me. It was kind of it was fun, but it was scary at the same time, because about that time Chad Lindbergh walked by and he goes, yeah, now you know how I feel.
Yeah, well,
Give me thumbs up.
You've got a great personality for the position here, and also you've been here for so long, so you have such knowledge.
Well, you
of the
got to like
place.
people. If you don't like people, you have no business being in a public job, period.
Right, and they kind of like this. You have to like living people, and you have to like dead people.
Oh, I've got them, yeah. From the room to the tomb, I got them all.
Well, and that's the funny thing, because like if you think that like your job, you have so many people to deal with. Imagine like adding in Mary, who follows people home, or the ghost of Bigfoot. Like there's a lot of things I have to manage in our work, or we even have to manage with the band. And a 7 foot tall shadow Bigfoot.
Yeah, I mean,
is
it's
not one
huge. I mean, this thing is literally huge, and sometimes it has red eyes, sometimes it has green eyes. We have the little creepers that walk around through here. In fact, one of them crawled out of the wall one day, just out of the wall, about 4 foot tall, and I was giving a tour 3:30 in the afternoon, and all of a sudden, I'm like, do you see that? And then about the time this guy goes, I think something just touched me, and I'm like, oh, I bet it did.
Yeah.
And he had a whole claw mark down his back. I mean, from his neck to the top of his jeans.
I felt that.
Yeah.
And that's
claw
where
mark.
you pass out the
But
old
this
South
thing,
Pittsburgh bucket.
look, I have pictures of it. I'll show it to you. But this is about this tall, solid black mask, no real face, but it had glowing red eyes. Walked right out of the wall. The chalkboard upstairs on the 3rd floor, when you see it, it's huge. It's what they used to use, because now everything's on computer. But there was it was a volunteer night. So there was a ball, there was a voice box, and a voice recorder sitting on the table with this chalkboard. Now, this chalkboard probably weighs 60 pounds, easy. Nothing moved but that chalkboard. Nothing. And it moved about 6 inches, and the ball never moved. The whole thing. We got on video. So, I mean, it is what it is. It's supercharged in here sometimes.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to do some exploring, and we're
gonna
going to play
roam
some
around.
music and maybe see if that activates any kind
right,
of energy.
maybe the spirits will be like, hey, we like
Oh,
your
they
songs.
like music.
Some peaceful
They like
songs
music.
or-
They like coffee. We've tried to feed them. They tell us. And somebody got an EVP one night of spaghetti, and I'm like, well, I guess they're hungry.
Can't say I blame them. That sounds kind of good, actually.
Spaghetti sounds great.
So you just don't ever know.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much. Stacey.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Stacey.
Thanks for having me.
All right, what's your full name?
Larry Googe.
Larry Googe, what do you do here at the OSPH?
I'm head of her security here and basically a volunteer. And I've been doing paranormal for like over 30 years.
Okay,
And I've been friends with Stacy for like 18.
awesome. So are you from this area originally?
Actually, we're about an hour and 40 minutes up the road, a little town called Etowah.
Okay. And so how did you hear about this place in the first place?
Oh, we've known about it for a long time. We've done paranormal, and it's one of the great places to hunt. So it's always been around. Now, we've been coming here since October.
Okay.
So
Now, when you do a ghost hunt around here, like what's the style you use? Like how do you do it?
you mean?
Do you have
It-
tools that you use? Or do
Yes,
you-
we've got full spectrum night vision and the recorder. That's my basic two things. You don't need all this other stuff. Unless you're trying to prove to the public what's out there. But the group I got, when they leave here, they have their own proof. I promise you. And we've got K2 meters, SLS cameras. I can just go on and go on. But my favorite thing is a recorder and a camera. If you got them two, we're good to go.
Something simple.
Yeah. less is the best.
I like that.
Yeah.
And you said that you spend a lot of time here.
Long
And
time.
before we started interviewing Stacy, you were sharing a couple of the things that you've witnessed. And man, it sounded terrifying. So,
Well, is it scary or is it just otherworldly?
Yeah, I mean,
there's a difference. Is there something like when you think that something might be malevolent versus because like there's a lot of people like most people are nice in real life, I think, and so when they're dead, you can't imagine it be any different.
There's good spirits here, and there's demonic spirits here.
Well, let's meet the good ones tonight.
I'd like to, yeah.
Well, we got a problem right now. I believe that there's more demonic right now going on. There've been some people who's brought a lot of Ouija boards in,
Oh,
and they've unleashed some things that it's pretty ugly right now.
You know, that's interesting because that's a symptom of having so many people coming in and doing investigations. And I hadn't even thought of that. I hadn't even considered that some of the things could have entirely been brought in that weren't even from,
Sure.
spirits that originated
Well,
here.
it could be a spirit from a different place. You know, it comes like it hops on somebody's van, and then comes on in with them. Or I don't know. You know the idea of the attachment, the
Yeah.
idea that a spirit attaches to yourself, and that's something that Stacy was talking about. That sometimes a spirit will attach, and so if something attaches you from one place, and then hitches a ride to another. But we're bringing out the positive energy tonight. That's what we're working on, bringing out
I
positive
hope
energy,
so. I
fun
hope
spirits,
so.
spirits that like to party
Yes.
like us.
Well, you're with the wrong man here because I bring out the bad ones.
Well, you were saying that while we were interviewing Stacy that you were witnessing something.
Oh, yeah,
in the
there was
room
a
behind
shadow.
us.
He seen it too. There was a shadow walk by there 3 times, like it was just sort of nosing in here, seeing what we
kind
was
of
doing.
scoping things out.
Yeah, that's what
huh?
it was doing.
Okay.
All right. Well, hey, like if you want to say something on microphone,
Oh,
we
yeah.
got the mic set up here, and we'll be listening to this later when we're editing it. So who knows?
Yeah, maybe we'll pick something up. That would be cool.
So what was your first experience here? Like, do you remember the first time you came in? I mean, first of all, you walk in the doors and it looks like, abandon all hope, ye who enter, kind of thing, because it has all the graffiti on the walls. And it looks like a classic kind of abandoned hospital kind of thing when you come in. And so what was your first impression, and what was your first experience here at the Old South Pittsburg Hospital?
It was an intimidating place. I was not scared by no means because I've done it for years, but it was intimidating. It was dark, creepy.
Yep.
The first experience I had was one of those creepers clawed my leg, scratched my leg.
Oh, see the scratching thing.
Yeah, that was
scary.
That was the first experience that I had here.
Wow.
And especially if you're a woman, you might be wearing nylons or something like that, the scratching ruins. I'm just saying,
Mike.
nylons aren't free.
I think the scratching itself would be more disturbing than the
Okay.
destroyed pair of nylons.
Look, I'm just thinking about ladies' apparel, as I am wont to do. Okay, anyway, that joke.
the creepers.
Yeah, the creepers. So Ron from the St. Louis Paranormal
Oh yeah,
Organization,
yeah. We ran into another group who's here tonight investigating.
he's like, I saw the creeper, and I'm like, what's the creeper,
Yeah.
Ron?
No, he didn't see the creeper. I'll tell you what he saw.
Oh.
We've talked again. It was something I saw 2 weeks ago. Me and the police officer, it used to be a police officer here, we had a group that was real loud. So we walked around that hallway looking towards the emergency room. And we're standing there. And there's this creature. The creepers are little bitty small things. This thing was as big as a human, but it was on all fours, and it was all gnarled up like this right here, and it come across the hallway. And I ain't gonna say on air what the policeman said, but
Yeah, but no, I
he
get
just, you may not want that language here. And I just looked and said, well, I don't know. But I can tell you it was a very creepy, demonic thing that come across
So
the
you think
hallway.
that's what Ron saw
Yeah, from what he explained
Whoa.
to me, because it was a lot bigger than the creepers.
tonight? You saw that tonight.
Great.
That's here tonight.
That sounds good. Well, it does not sound good, but it sounds interesting at least. Well, maybe the creeper will come out and just give us a little nice scratch instead of gnarled hands walking around. Now, what would you say is the kind of experience you had here that you said, okay, like as you said, you've been doing paranormal stuff for 30 years, been doing investigations and checking places out. What do you think is the experience that left you most like, oh yeah, there's something going on in this place, or the most one that affected you personally?
I know it's here. I've always seen it since I've been here. But what affected me the most happened about 2 weeks ago, the same night I seen that creature. We had, Josh had a box called the White Box. There's only one in existence. It's an awesome box. The spirit talks through it. And it goes, I know who you are, Larry Gooch. Oh! And I get my hair standing up right now.
God, that made my
My name's not Larry Gooch. My hair's down.
I've had my name called, my first name called. But when something calls you by your first and last and tells you, I know you, that affected me. Didn't scare me, but I'm on my toes a little bit more here.
Yeah.
So.
And so what kind of, so how does that box work? Does it use radio stations?
It's radio frequencies. It picks up, and it's like energy. It pulls it in, and they can talk through it.
Okay. So Stacy was talking from the back. She said it's built by Huff Paranormal, Steve Huff. And we've talked about...
It's a one-of-a-kind device.
And we've talked, like, he custom builds these kind of things.
Yeah.
And Steve Huff's always contacting people. You can see his YouTube. I mean, he's got 1,000 YouTube videos of different people he's kind of contacted. I think we talked about Steve Huff in the Kurt Cobain episode.
Oh,
'Cause
yeah.
I think it's
Yeah,
an
we
episode
did.
where he tries to talk to Kurt Cobain.
Yeah.
But obviously, this white box is something he designs. He uses guitar pedals a lot, too, interestingly enough. But it sounds like the white box is only here in South Pittsburg, Tennessee. And he used that. And so that's some kind of thing. If I heard a ghost say my name, like, hey, Mike Huberty, what's happening? Oh, and I just said my name out loud. So obviously
they
the
know
shadow
you now.
guy's like, oh, I know him now. Hey, boys, Huberty's in the house.
But do you after an experience like that, you still came back?
Oh,
and
yeah.
is there any way that you kind of can center yourself and not be you said you aren't afraid.
No,
Yeah.
I'm not.
Not poop yourself.
I've been
mean-
knocked off my feet in here and slammed to the ground. So
And you're still not afraid.
Yeah,
you still
no.
come back. So
Still come back.
Wow, that's impressive.
Well, it's like going on the roller coaster, you know.
it's a rush.
Yeah, and it's like Stacy said, if you don't show fear, then you're less of a threat to
A
the
target,
energies
yeah.
or
They can feed on it less.
yeah.
Of course, I challenge them a lot too. So that's. I don't suggest people doing that, but I do it a lot.
Well, the problem with me is once they see my abs, they'll feel like threatened and challenged. And they'll be like, I can't believe that guy is alive and has such sweet abs.
Well, it's a good thing that you're with us tonight, Mike, so we don't have to fear anything.
That's right. I'm just... Okay.
You and your ass.
It's true. It's the one thing between us and the dark.
Hey, we do have a naughty nurse here. She might like them abs.
Hey, we're talking... Now we're up my alley here.
Hey, she'll talk sweet nothings in your ear. She'll touch you. And
Flirty nurse.
Right, but it's going to be like in Ghostbusters or whatever, where everything's all fun and games until, you know.
I thought you were going to say maybe it's going to be like Ghost.
Oh, yeah.
Like maybe she'll do the pottery wheel with you or
With my
something.
luck, it will be Patrick Swayze. It won't be the naughty nurse. It will be Patrick Swayze.
we got a few of them right here.
Oh, that's great.
All right, so Larry, if people do you have a paranormal organization or anything like
Yeah,
that?
Star Mountain Paranormal.
Where can people find more information on that?
It's on Facebook.
All right,
Cool,
so
great.
Facebook, Star Mountain Paranormal. Thanks for talking to us with Larry.
Thank
But I
you,
appreciate
Larry.
it. Thank you.
Now, what's your name, brother?
Pete Spakowski.
Okay, Pete. And what do you do here at the Old South Pittsburg Hospital, Pete?
I help Larry with security. Larry
Okay.
Googe.
And the thing is, this kind of place, though, you wouldn't have to make sure, because it's kind of an abandoned place besides the areas that have ghost hunts and everything, you do have to make sure that people don't just wander in and
Oh,
stay.
Very
yes.
large.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a huge place.
There's been people that's wandered in here.
But the people, I mean, the living people wandering in here, that's one thing, and we don't worry about them on this show. But so, what kind of experiences have you had, Pete? Like, what was your first one when you came in and you're like, hey, there might be something to this whole haunting business?
We was up on the third floor. It was me, Larry, Mike, and Elizabeth, which is our Star Mountain Paranormal group. And I seen the Shadow Man. And I'm looking down there, and it's crossing the hallway, and it just stops. And you can look down that hallway, and there's a door. And there's light coming through the door, and there's light coming through the window. When that light gets blocked, that Shadow Man's there. And I'm sitting there going, am I seeing this? Am I seeing this?
I can imagine that too.
I said, Larry, you seeing this? And he goes, yeah. I said, cool.
Wow. And those hallways are so dark. So I could imagine seeing it
Yeah.
and going looking twice to try to figure out if it's your imagination or something. But having someone else there to
Oh, yeah, verify.
corroborate, that's
That really is
And-
the trick.
And you know, the thing of it is, we've been doing it a while, and you see something, And then you think, did I just see that? Did I just witness that? A lot of that happens down in the chapel, on the first floor. Was down there. We did an open paranormal hunt and took some people, Stacy and a guy she brought with her, Mike and Elizabeth, and some other new people that their first time here. And we was sitting down there. And I sat in the front, and it was quiet. We was probably down there 30, 40 minutes. Nothing happening. And then I heard something make a noise over on the right, and I looked over there, and I seen the red eyes, and I thought, creeper. And it was crawling along the wall, looking and making noise. Well, meanwhile, on the left side, there was two coming up. And I just caught it out of the corner of my eye, and I'm sitting there looking, okay, you're making noise. Y'all are being quiet. Y'all are up to something.
Right, and they're like surrounding you.
Yeah. And I asked Stacy, I said, Stacy, how far back are you sitting from Elizabeth? And I said, are you a pew back or are you 2 pews back? And she goes, well, we're sitting a ways back. I said, y'all better move closer. And then I heard Mike, which Mike's a skeptic. When he first come here, he didn't believe in none of this. But he was sitting back in the thing, and all I heard him say is, "Oh, heck no!" But he got up and he went and sat with Elizabeth, which is his girlfriend. And I asked him afterwards. I said, "Mike, what was that about?" He goes, there was a shadow figure that sat down alongside me and asked me, what am I doing here?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, of all the things to be asked, honestly.
And I started laughing. And the first experience he had, he come here, along with all the skeptics, which is good. I want skeptics.
Yeah, I think that's sometimes the most convincing is if a
Yes.
skeptic comes in and then changes their mind or witnesses something questionable.
If a skeptic comes
like-
in
Yeah.
and a shadow figure sits next to him and asks
And
him what he's
says-
doing there,
Yeah.
and then now he's like, I believe, hallelujah. Like, that's going to change other people's minds.
And he, the first time we ever brought him, he was cracking jokes and things like that. And we was on the 3rd floor. Well, we opened up room 10, the door, just a little bit when we passed by it. And we was going towards the nursery. And so after we got through with the nursery, there wasn't a whole lot of activity going on. So we thought we'd go down to the 2nd floor to the clinic. And Mike was the very last one in the group. As soon as he walked by room 10, that door slammed shut. And here he goes hollering, crap no, crap no, crap no. And he's trying to run, but it scared him so bad that he's taking granny steps.
Aw.
He's shuffling his feet. And, I try not to laugh, but, when stuff like that happens, you've got to laugh.
Oh, that's
Well,
fantastic.
we already made a pact. Nobody's going to be in the back
Yeah.
of the group alone, right?
That's right, except for Wendy.
Hey, it already happened, so I'm not doubting that it will, but I'm just saying.
No, we're doing our best. Everybody stays together and nobody splits up.
Yeah.
This place can be dangerous if you're by yourself. Don't
See?
be by yourself.
Well, that sounds like that.
Especially on the 3rd floor and in the clinic.
Well, that's why we joined a band.
We band together.
So,
But no, that's
what do you think experience that you've had here personally that has affected you the most?
I guess what affected me the most was on the 3rd floor. We was just up there, a bunch of us just up there goofing around and, talking. And we heard a little girl laugh. And Then me and Elizabeth seen out of the corner of our eye the little girl.
Oh, wow.
And I thought, man, it bothers me to think that, kids are
that's so
trapped
sad.
here.
That's very sad.
Yeah.
But, there's not a whole lot, that
You can do about
you
it.
can do about it,
Yeah.
But
Wow.
that's probably, I've not been scratched or some people's been bit. None of that stuff has ever happened to me personally, but I'm hoping it will sometime. I guess.
We're always,
there's-
we're always home for a good bite.
Oh yeah. Now I will tell you, Mary. I've never talked with Mary. I don't even know what she looked like. And we was cleaning out her room and putting stuff in the geriatrics hall. And something told me to look to the left. And it's just a wall. And I'm sitting there thinking, why would look at a wall? So I looked over at the wall, and this older woman with gray hair just went right up in my face and went back. And I said, oh.
Right, yeah.
And I thought, and I said, God, don't do that. I said, I'll knock you out. It was a little bit unsettling, but like Larry,
That's a touch.
Just a bit.
Just a touch of something.
nothing really here has ever scared me to where I don't want to come back. It's always enough to where, oh, I need to go back.
Intriguing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it makes you wanna see
like
more.
Stacy says, it pulls you, it calls you.
That's
And
that's
since
neat.
since the first time I've been here, it's got that draw.
Very cool.
Awesome.
Thanks for sharing your stories.
Thank you
You're
for your
welcome.
amazing
Thank
story.
you.
Oh, thank God we made it out of there alive.
We
Wendy.
survived, and we're even already back in Wisconsin. It's
Yep.
like a little magical time and location warp.
We warped back here from the old South Pittsburg hospital.
And what an experience that was.
It was. I've been in some abandoned places, a couple of hotels, a couple of resorts, things like that, but I've never been in an abandoned hospital. So that was a first time for me. How about you?
Oh, I hang out in them all the time.
Yeah, that's what
Pretty much every weekend.
That's,
No,
that's what I figured.
I got to say that was my first abandoned hospital as well.
Yeah.
So congratulations. We both survived the experience.
Almost.
And yeah, there were some moments.
Well, well, let's talk about one of those moments because you didn't come away unscathed. So, so what happens is this is right when we first get in there, right? So why don't you set it up, Wendy?
We walked in the door and it was about twilight outside. So there's a little bit of light still coming in. It wasn't
Yeah.
pitch black, but it's a very big place. And, you walk in and the door closes behind you and it's dark and you look pretty much in every direction, all four corners of the world. And it's just long, dark hallways.
Right. Imagine a hospital with no lights.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's what it is.
And the ghost hunter that we met from St. Louis, Ron, I believe, was showing us the way to the warm and lighted room where we interviewed Stacy.
Yeah. So we
Right when we first walked
we
in.
just start getting in, and then it's like, okay, this is creepy, and it looks just like when you watch a Ghost Hunters episode or anything. I mean, it really
Yeah.
does look like an abandoned place. So
Except I will say that it's not as old as some of them or as bad disrepair as some of the ones that I've seen on those shows. So I have to credit them for that because it wasn't super disgusting.
But it is. I mean, there's graffiti everywhere because the
Yeah.
the different Ghost Hunters have graffitied it over the past
Yeah.
few years.
And, right. And we talked about that in the interview. But as far as like just dirt and, collapsed ceilings and stuff like that, there wasn't a ton of that. So anyway, we're walking down the hallway and I heard this like scratching-ish sound along the wall. And so I kind of jumped back a little bit and then I thought, oh, there's a rodent in here.
And the thing is, we all heard it. So it wasn't
Yeah.
just something, this wasn't just in your head or it wasn't just imagination. Like, we all heard the scratching sound. It's like, oh, there's a mouse or something around. And there's got to be.
Yeah. And then we continued walking and then Scott heard it again and he was over by the wall kind of kicking a little piece of something that was on the ground, taking a look at it. And then he heard it and he heard it kind of like, it sounded like it scurried up the wall and over him, but there was no ceiling there. So if it was a rodent, it would have had to be an invisible rodent
Right.
to go overhead without, falling. So anyway, it was just, and he heard it right behind him too. So it was kind of a strange audio event that we experienced.
Well, I wouldn't describe it quite like that, though, Wendy. And this is me, because the thing is, when I was watching it, or I was watching you guys, so I hear something to the right of me. And so let's say I'm looking straight down a hall. I'm hearing something to the right of me in one of the rooms. It just sounds like a mouse is in one of the rooms. I've had mice in plenty of my homes. In fact, I had one that was basically a mouse hotel, and I was just like renting a room inside of a mouse residence. And
Nice.
we hear that, we're like, oh, you guys hear that? Oh, yeah, so it must be a mouse or something. Ooh, there's already animals here. And we were still joking around. We're still in the fun mode. It wasn't even in spooky mode or hypersensitive to things mode. And then you and Scott both jumped because you felt something behind you. And you're like, oh.
I didn't feel something behind me.
Okay, because I heard
something.
I heard something. Okay, because it looked like, but you both jumped like it was something behind you. So so just say like, oh, there must have been something above us. No, there was an actual physical reaction to it, and that's probably why watching it, to me, it felt like it was a bigger deal because.
But that's why it's funny how these things play out.
Yes.
Because the experience to you was different than it was to me, and I was freaked out, but I didn't feel anything. I just heard the sound, and it startled me, so I jumped.
I see it, because I heard the sound too, but it was over by you, so that's why I was like, hey, what's going on? And the way you guys, I was like, oh, man, something's going to grab them. Like, it's here. Like, oh, man, they're here. And so that's why I thought so. But this is how things spread. And I think this is how the stories start, because we all have everybody's hyper attenuated to every little thing when you're inside there.
And particularly when we first went in, because it's an unknown environment. You don't know what's down which hallway, and you're just completely, everything is an unknown.
Yes.
And you're already anticipating spookiness.
But this would have been the period of the night where I was the least scared whatsoever, because we had people from the Ghost Hunters with Ron, and we had his ghost hunting team on the other hallway. We could see them because we were where that big car was. And I think that's why it was the freakiest, because like you just didn't expect it. At this point, you expect it when you're quiet and listening, and anything is a big deal, but that particular point, I think, and then seeing you guys jump made me think like, holy crap, the old South Pittsburg hospital is haunted for real. At least it's haunted by the spirit of mice.
Well, it's funny because that, for me, actually, I think that might have been the height of my fear.
Okay.
Even though there were other people and it wasn't pitch black, I think I was so anticipating and not know, the unknowns. But as the night grew, and went on, and we familiarized ourselves with the floor plan, I almost got more comfortable in there, which sounds weird because it was icy cold and it was scary. But so anyway, getting back to the experiences, Mike, later on in the night, you and I had an experience. We both witnessed something.
Yeah, well, and this was a weird one too, because I didn't feel particularly creeped out by this one, but I was like, that's a weird sound. So what did we hear, Wendy?
Well, we were getting a bit of a guided tour from our friends Larry and Pete, whom we interviewed, and you just heard that. And they know the place really well, so it was great because, they would point out areas where they had seen things before, or rooms that are known for having strange things happen. And one of the rooms, as we talked about in the interview, was that of Mary, who was supposedly a resident there and, whose ghost people claim to have seen numerous times.
The old lady. So if you don't remember her
Yes.
name, she was the old lady that lived in the old lady section of the hospital.
Yeah. And so we went in the room, and it was kind of, a bit of the ceiling was kind of collapsed, and there was a little shrine and some alcohol bottles and shoes and stuff like that. But anyway, we were with a group, and so everybody kind of wandered in and just quietly observed, and some people had their recording equipment and whatnot, and Mike and I were the last ones in there, and right before we walked out, I heard a sound that was, I can only describe it as a sort of a hiss snarl kind of a sound. It was like but not really like an animal so much. I don't know. I guess I'm not sure. I don't.
If it was an animal, then it'd be
but
like a raccoon in there or something like that.
it was loud and it was bizarre sounding. And so I turned right to Mike and I'm like, "Did you hear that?" He's like, "Yep." Bye.
And then we're like,
and then
we left
we
the room.
promptly turned tail and got as far away as we could from that place.
And it's funny with things like that, and I think you really hit the nail on the head, Wendy, when you talked about the Rashomon experience of it, where we all have our own kind of how we describe the experiences and how we remember it. Because that one was pretty weird, but we were around 10 other people, and nobody else heard or anything or thought anything was weird.
Yeah.
They were making jokes about the booze bottles and stuff, and then we heard this like, And I'm like, anybody else? And they're like, nothing. You know?
And so I'm pretty sure that Scott was recording at that point with his camera. So we need to review that footage, and we'll let you know if it's actually on. The audio's on there. That'd be fantastic.
You guys can watch some of our journeys through that, because what we did is we went to the first floor, we went to the second floor, and then we went to the basement, and we've got some Facebook lives of all of that at othersidepodcast.com/live stream, and you can see how this place looks for yourself. They're like 5 to 10 minutes each time, so you can get a real taste of how the old South Pittsburg Hospital is, because you really do get the run of the place. And
I have to say,
it's something else.
If you're into that kind of thing, it is definitely worth a visit. Like I said before, I was surprised by how well upkept it was. And, I haven't stayed in a hospital, in an abandoned hospital before, but the ones that I've seen on any of the ghost hunting shows, they're always like, the building is going to collapse and there's tons of
Completely
animals in
dangerous.
there. And I thought we'd see mice and things crawling around, and like, I didn't see a single rodent. I mean, I guess we might have heard.
Well, that was the thing. Right at the beginning, we immediately start hearing a rodent that we thought. And then you don't see anything living again.
No, I didn't even see like a bug in there. It's just...
Right. It was pretty
So,
creepy.
nicely done keeping it sealed
Yeah.
to the elements.
So you guys make sure you check out some of those videos and the show notes, and also othersidepodcast.com/live stream. You can see not only that like journey through the hospital, but you can also see the next day we went to the Hales Bar old
Dam.
power station. The dam has an old Tennessee Valley Authority dam, and we got a haunted tour of the power station, and that was pretty fun.
That was really cool. And we also did a little performance in the hospital. We played some music up on the second floor, and we do have a video of that as well that'll be coming out, so you can see. They said the spirits like music, so we thought we'd
play a
see if
couple
we could
songs
shake it
for
up a
'em.
little.
And the thing is, so that area was the nursery. So what people did in the nursery is they leave toys out on that entire floor and try to get like the ghosts of kids. So it's funny because we get out the staircase and we go by the elevator, and immediately the first thing we see is the little toy drum set that Wendy actually got for my daughter as a gift, and it's just sitting there by the elevator. And that
Well, it was the same one.
It wasn't the same drum set, but it's the
It
same
wasn't the
toy.
actual one.
It's the same toy. Just to see that though in that kind of setting, after seeing it on my living room floor for the past 6 months, really that was pretty creepy. Like that one was a good one. I was like, oh, it's right there. It's right there. And we would do things like roll a ball down the hallway and see if the ball would come back. Because they say sometimes the ball came back. But the hallway that we played in is the hallway where they see the Shadow Man.
Right.
And so we specifically played in that hallway to try and see if we get any video of the Shadow Man. And we do have a video of our performance, and our Patreon subscribers are going to be able to get that very soon.
Yes.
So,
And we haven't even seen it yet, so we have to really watch carefully and check for the Shadow Man in there.
oh yeah,
Maybe he'll be dancing in the background.
hopefully the Shadow Man enjoyed the performance as much as we enjoyed playing and our time at the Old South
Yes.
Pittsburg Hospital.
And a big thanks to Scott Marcus from whatsyourghoststory.com for getting that footage and editing that video together for
Yeah,
us.
can't wait to see it. So we want to thank everybody from the Old South Pittsburg Hospital for having a great time.
Oh, they were wonderful.
And if you guys want to see that, I said before, go to othersidepodcast.com/live stream, and that's where you can see more stuff from the rest of the trip, like our adventures at the Hales Bar Power Station.
Yes, and so many other places.
Right.
It was a paranormal packed trip.
That's right.
Of course, we were in New Orleans, so there's plenty of things there, including the St. Roch Cemetery.
Yeah, where we took a whole bunch of press photos. So now you see pictures of me and Wendy from the St. Roch Cemetery, and can't wait
Lurking.
to that.
And then in Austin, I stopped by the Driscoll Hotel again, and we took a little excursion out to Shoal Creek, which is a story in and of itself that we will get to at a later time.
Absolutely.
We'll show you that footage too.
And so you'll be able to see all that kind of stuff. We're going to put together a compilation video of our South by Southwest trip this year. But in the meantime, you can check out the raw live streams, othersidepodcast.com/live streams. And we get stuff just for the Patreons. And if you're interested in checking that out, obviously the place to go is othersidepodcast.com/donate. You could be one of the cool ones.
Yep.
All right. So let's get down to the nitty gritty, what everybody's waiting for. And that's the song of the week.
Yes.
Now, They were talking about this guy named Dr. Havron in the interview, and they talked about that Dr. Havron might have done unnecessary surgery or things like that. So I'm like, okay, let's check out Dr. Havron. And I couldn't find him being like an evil mad scientist. Right? Like,
So that might be urban legend that's been spawning.
yeah, I think that might be a little bit. But the thing is, now here is an urban legend that I can say is that goes back a little older. So in 1964, Dr. Havron's wife was murdered.
Whoa. So there is some truth to that because they did talk about that.
So
Or they talked about her vanishing or whatever.
Right. His wife was murdered while he was on duty at the hospital, at the old South Pittsburg hospital.
Sad.
And they never caught her killer.
Oh my goodness.
So some people claim that he had her killed because he was having an affair. That was a rumor going around. And there's even a whole message board where they talk about going to the site of her murder, like later on, and that people could see ghosts and things. That, her ghost was still haunting there because she was killed.
Wow.
And they saw shadow figures in the old house and things like that. So Dr. Havron did have a ghost story involved with him, or at least an urban legend of one.
A paranormal connection.
Definitely a paranormal connection. But other people were talking about how he was such a beloved doctor. I mean, he died in 2006, and everybody thought he was a great doctor. A lot of people were like, oh my God, Dr. Havron was one of my favorite doctors. He was great. I loved him.
Interesting.
And it wasn't that kind of thing like, oh no, he performed he gave me a lobotomy. It was nothing like that. It was all nice things about Dr. Havron, except about what happened to his wife in the 1960s. So he ended up being our inspiration for the song this week. And we didn't want to quite use his name because we didn't actually find that he's like the abominable Dr. Phibes or anything like that. He's not Dr. Mengele. But there still is a rumor that goes around the old South Pittsburg hospital. Even if it's not about Dr. Havron, they do have an evil Dr. H.
Go ahead and roam the halls a bit. You might feel them at your back, and you will feel a strange spirit. You might scream a little, and you might have to shout when you're in the hospital where no one ever checks out. He don't need insurance, he's ready to begin. You'll only wait a minute. Oh my God, the doctor is in. You'll never get sick again. Electroshocking therapy, unnecessary surgery, a full frontal lobotomy for the evil Dr. H. A big blood spurter, your organs into burger. It's diagnosis murder for the evil Dr. H. He's not much for the Hippocratic oath, but cutting and slicing, yeah, he's good at both. Dr. H, the last physician that you'll ever need. He's already in the morgue, and he's eager to proceed. He don't need insurance, he's ready to begin. You'll only wait a minute. Oh my God, the doctor is in. You'll never get sick again. Electroshocking therapy, unnecessary surgery, a full frontal lobotomy with the evil Dr. H. A big blood squirter, your organs into burger. It's diagnosis murder for the evil Dr. H. Confidentiality with an MD in brutality, specializing in fatality. The evil Dr. H. You don't want to make his list. He could have used a psychiatrist. Every town needs a mad scientist. The evil Dr. H.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. You can find us online at othersidepodcast.com. Until next time, see you on the other side.
Hey, like we said before, if you guys want to see some very cool exclusive stuff from our trip and from our future trips, because we're planning a ton of them right now.
Oh my gosh.
You're going to
And sorry to cut you off, but I've got exciting news.
Yes.
Mike, you might have heard. We have a new CD coming out.
Oh, Christ.
And our Patreon members are the first people
That's right.
to get access to it.
So Patreon people are going to get copies of the CD. And we cannot wait for you guys to hear the new music, and it really is fantastic stuff. So if you want to be part of that exclusive club, it's othersidepodcast.com/donate. We'll hang out, suggest topics for the show. That's the kind of thing we like to do. We like to talk about the latest paranormal evidence, stories. We just like to hang out with the coolest people we know, and that is the Other Side Podcast Patreons, and you can join that at othersidepodcast.com/donate.
And special shout to Dr. Ned.
Dr. Ned.
Patreon, who's pledged at the level where he gets a shout out every time. And we love to shout him out because he actually is awesome.
Yes.
So, Ned, thanks for everything. And thanks to you for listening, and to all of our Patreons and all of our listeners and everybody for making the tour awesome last week. Thank you.
We had a great time. We'll see you guys on the other side.
Ciao.
I wonder what we heard earlier tonight.
Yeah, it could have been a creeper. You never know. They like to pull women's hair, too.
I'm glad I just got my cut.
Here we go. I got the hoodie. It's going up.
Hoodies don't help.
Especially with the headphones.
If you think you think Casper can't reach through your hoodie? He's fine.
Okay. I'm not afraid.
You're good. Let's go.
All
Let's
right,
go check
thanks,
it
Pete.
out.
Okay.
Great story.